welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and I want to welcome you to an episode like no other episode. And jumping in the doggone deep end of the water with me is none other than Doc Polite. Doc, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. Yeah, he gonna let me run wild tonight, y'all. So
And just, run wild, because I think what we're going to be talking about, Doc, goes deep. For those of you who are looking for the general is on special assignment tonight, and I look forward to the general rejoining us. And here's a special introduction. On November the 24th, for those of you who know, Attorney Greg Jackson happens to be an alpha man as well. And we've done a couple barbershop conversations, Doc, that you produce. Mm-hmm. And on November the 24th, the alphas want to bring it back home. And we're going to be having a barbershop talk in the studio with the alphas. So we want to ask you to join us, dial in, have conversation. But the barbershop conversation is going to be about something that everybody's talking about now. And I've never seen people talk about it like this before. But it's simply engaging folk to talk about voting, to talk about the aspects of voting, to talk about how politics, whether you like it or not, is impacting your everyday life. And so, Doc, you produce two of these barbershop conversations. What do you think about, we're going to be doing it again November the 24th?
We always talk about the fact that we make your IQ go up. Well, those brothers make your IQ go up as well.
You're right.
They're on it, well informed, and they take it serious. That they are reasonable voices in the community.
Yeah.
And are able to hold conversations and inform people as to what's going on and what they need to know and why they need to be involved. So that's always critical. See, it's black male leadership at its best.
And Doc, you hit it right on the head. And it's something that I know the Kappas does it, the Omegas do it, and we're getting the honor and privilege to have the Alphas come into the studio. But one of the things that I'm seeing the fraternities do and the sororities do is the fact that they're not just having these conversations. They're getting out, they're beating the pavement, having a conversation, and they're putting forth the work. So, man, looking forward to that show with the Alphas. And we want to invite, sororities, fraternities, and we're not talking about limiting this ain't about white and black. This is about just right. So if you want to join us, you're welcome to. We look forward to having a fruitful conversation about direction, leadership, some of the things that you need to look for when you're researching a candidate. We just want you to join us so that we can have those conversations.
Exactly. One of the things I always think about, Rod, and like I was telling you about, me and the lady had that conversation today. We are more interconnected and cross-connected than we believe.
Doc, let people know what conversation you were having once again.
I was in Lowe's this afternoon, and I'm always an amenable person. I love to talk. So, I was standing there talking to the lady. We got to talking about being neighborly. And she was lamenting that, her neighbor she could reach out and touch her neighbor's door, but she didn't know her neighbors. She didn't know her. And she said, I can remember when you knew your neighbors, and a neighborhood was about the people there. And,
but Doc, you were telling me about the casual conversation you were having, and I know, on the go and you're meeting somebody out like that, sometimes it's difficult to get down to the nuts and bolts. But the thing that I asked you about was it because her neighborhood has turned more transient, that you got people coming in and out?
No, because again, I instantly met her. We had chemistry and everything, and it was natural conversation. She was very amenable as I was, and so I didn't see her being a person who was unfriendly.
Gotcha.
In that sense. And sometimes, it's like this. You can want to be neighborly, but the other person has to reciprocate that. What do you do when your neighbor doesn't want to be neighborly?
Doc, what's that verse? And I don't mind taking you. And I'm not. It's not like I'm a teacher of the Bible, but isn't it a Bible verse to talk about? In order to first show yourself to be a friend, you got to be friendly.
Be friendly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. You can attract people in how they see you move, but at the same time, some people are so guarded and so resistant to that no matter how you are, it doesn't penetrate them. It's more about what they're struggling with often internally than anything else. Some people are just suspicious, and where does that come from? That comes from learned life experience, mistrust, and you don't know their backstory. You ever tried to have a conversation and the person was like, "Yeah, okay,
Not giving it back to you."
right."
Yeah.
It's just like they have a closed door and they're only giving you as much as they possibly can to engage in that, and you don't know, am I offending the person? Does the person lack communication problems? Is it, are they dealing with something? And you never know.
So, Doc, let me ask you this question. And I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm gonna go ahead and also reframe it, because you were leaving Lowe's, you met this woman, and y'all got into a conversation, and she started talking about she doesn't know her neighbors like she used to know her neighbors.
Right.
Not for me.
Right.
So, Doc, how does that translate into communities not necessarily having all of the assets that they used to have to make them safer communities, more productive communities? And Doc, just point and take.
The key thing is it isolates your voice. Okay, one person going to complain is less effective than us understanding as a group our power, collectively understanding what the issues are in our community and what needs to be addressed. How do we triage? How do we decide what's the priority for our community? And that's one of the things that has plagued so many communities. Case in point, see, me and Rod have serious conversation. District 5, it is in shambles. One of the reasons that's in shambles, when you have 4% of 55,000 people that live there, 20,000 registered voters, and only 3,000 come out and vote.
And Doc, I hear you, because I don't want to diminish. Because you got, but basically what you're pointing out is you have a population of 55,000 plus individuals that live in that district.
And they live there. They're not neighbors. That was the point I wanted to make, because neighbors have a shared concern. Okay, neighbors want their neighborhood to be a community. See,
you
community. The core word of community is common. What do we have in common together? We have a common interest in beautification. We have a common interest in public safety. We have a common interest in ensuring the value of our property. We have a common interest in educating our kids there.
So all the things that you're pointing out, Doc, when you see those common factors, what else do you see as a result of that based on property in those communities? You see them rise.
Well, you see the rise. Okay, I can remember. I think I've told y'all this before. We used to go to Saturday school. Saturday school used to be big in the Black community here in Orlando. It really was. And it was a sense of, we're going to educate our kids. So we're going to have, you will go to Jones High on a Saturday, Rod, and literally see hundreds of kids out for Saturday school.
So Doc, that was a priority. That was a priority back then.
Right. And Saturday school went from 9 to 2 o'clock. The teachers were volunteering their time. They weren't getting paid for that. The parents were volunteering their time. They weren't getting paid for that.
Because they wanted to see
that. Who benefited? The community benefited. Because why? Because they graduated more kids. They increase kids that went off to college, that were prepared for college, kids that were better prepared for life, in becoming productive citizens. See, the whole thing to me about community is about making productive people. It doesn't have to be my kid. Let's make productive people. Why? Because productive people around you raises your boat too.
And you know, it's that thing we talk about, Doc. You know, when we talk about association,
right?
You know, you want to see your children, you want to see yourself associating with people who are going places, people who are pulling things up, building things, that are creating innovators. You know, and that's the crowd to run in versus, you know, always complaining about something but never have a fix for it.
Well, you know that, and or shifting the blame.
A shift in the blame. You're right.
And again, back to District 5. That district, unfortunately, has not had real effective leadership in a very long time. I would venture to say, for the last 20 years, all it's had is basically leadership that has done book bag giveaway, gave away turkeys.
Well, Doc, here's where I want to go, because we were having the conversation, and I tell you, we navigated to this survivor's remorse.
Yeah.
And with that survivor's remorse, I mean, we're talking about, I mean, the premise of the show was this kid who made it out of the hood. And I was telling you, and I'm, you know, you still got me floored that, Doc, this took place in 2014.
Yeah.
The first season. But the premise of it was basically this kid that made it out of the hood, signed multi-million-dollar contracts, and you and Armando, our sound engineer, was talking about this player. I don't know who it was. I didn't recognize the name.
So Sebastian Telfair.
So does his life kind of revolve around?
It really does. The premise in Survivor's Remorse, for most people who haven't watched it. See, I caught it back then because it came on the same time that, I don't know if you know this show, Ballers, and that had The Rock in it. Yeah, so I was kind of interested in both of them. But the premise is, here's a cat that made it, like you said, out the environment, and he was supposed to be living the American dream, but it was constantly being chipped away and set upon by people around him, making his situation and his circumstances that much more difficult. And how often do we see this supposed thing where Black people say, "Oh, you got to come back and give back to the community."
And on that topic, Doc, because this is something you focus on a lot, and you know what you're talking about is the fame, money, and responsibilities. And the question is, are pro athletes morally obligated to give back? And when does generosity become enabling? And then you spoke about this for years now. And so what's your thoughts on that, Doc?
I say absolutely not. You know, I know several football players, okay, and a couple of basketball players. But I know the football players really well. They're friends. And one of the things that and it's crazy because all three of them live in the Ponca area, and I've known them, you know, and I've watched people navigate with them, and as soon as people come to them, it's like they got their hand out. They never come to them and say, you know, "Hey, let me give you this." Mm-hmm. People are always seeing them and feeling that because they are pro athletes or were pro athletes, that they somehow owe it to them because they don't have. And one of them even told me about, I'm not going to say their name for sure, told me how their mom, when they signed their contract, their mom went and looked at $1.5 million house, picked out, this the house I want. Mm-hmm. He told her, "I ain't got it like that. I got an agent. I got all of these obligations.
Mm-hmm.
I got liabilities. And bless his heart, the guy's a level-headed player, person. He knew that was a window. You know that. You played college ball. You played it at the highest level, D1. So you know that window don't stay open. So that window it's not really a window, it's a crack.
It's a crack. You're right.
It is.
But that's where the financial literacy comes in. That's where family dynamics and boundaries come in at. But it has to start early on before you look up and see, your fortune diminish.
Exactly. And most people don't know this. Most pro football players have one contract, one cycle of one contract. After that, they usually are out. So you're talking about what, 3, 4?
3-4 years. And then the other piece that you recognize is the fact that, and we're only citing research and statistics, but when you talk about pro athletes, and we're talking about basketball, football, I'm not sure about baseball, but the research is out there, man. Once the playing days are over, 2 or 3 years later, they file a bankruptcy.
Yeah. And John Sally, you know who John Sally is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. John Sally talks about Shaq. He said he had rent through all his money. And he said the only person he could go to and think about even helping him was Shaq. Say Shaq gave him $70,000. He said all of it.
I saw that he talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah. And that financed him to make his comeback. And he went into acting and broadcasting and things like that.
And then years later, when he turned around to repay Shaq,
pay him, Shaq said, yeah. And he said he's still been trying to give him that money back, but Shaq is not that kind of person, and it just shows the generosity of who he is as a man, that he saw one of the great, and John Sally was a great player.
He played for Detroit, right?
Yeah. He was part of the Bad Boys.
Yeah.
So, when Shaq was coming in, it was the tail end of Sally's career. And oftentimes what happens is, think about it, you come from a environment where financial literacy is not even a conversation you have with anybody. All of a sudden you have the opportunity to go into a store, Rod, and buy stuff and not really be cognizant of what you're spending.
You're right. So
it comes and goes fast.
But Doc, how are you going to start with telling that story about Shaq and Sally, and you don't finish it by go ahead and making sure that the audience understand that Shaquille O'Neal was telling his story about when he was in the league and how he would go to investment meetings with his agents, and they'll shake his hand and say it's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Shaq. But then during the business meeting, they would make eye contact with Shaq's agent.
Yeah.
Instead of Shaq. And so
Shaq and Shaq said,
it's my money.
Yeah. It's like they thought he was stupid.
Yeah, but what Shaq did was he mentioned, I don't remember the guy's name, but it was a guy, and he talks about it. He said it was a Jewish guy that told him the best way to navigate business is to learn about it, number one, and number two, look at joint ventures. So what Shaq did was, he enrolled in college to get his, I think it was his master's in business, and the college said, well, we can't just enroll you in one class to make it convenient for you. We need about 10 people in that class. So Shaq turns around and he talks about it on his podcast. He turns around and says, so I need 10 other people for you to teach me business. And so Shaq subsequently got his friends, his cousins. He got 10 people that was closest to him, and all of them took the business class together and passed.
And see, that's shared experience. That's like today. This is we teaching now, Rod. Today, now I've been in the business world a long time as you have, and you know I'm doing a new venture. The first thing I said, let me send this to my boy as another set of eyes to see what I don't see because I'm close to this. See, it's an emotional aspect to it. So I said, let me send this to Rod and get Rod uh, viewpoint because Rod is not emotionally invested in this. I need another set of eyes. See, it didn't threaten me to share and say, Rod, I did this, but I'm not sure. Too many people don't understand that's real business.
And Doc, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you some time because the innovations that you're bringing forth, we're going to let a couple of guys for the Florida Classic use your technology. But man, spend a minute so that people know what it is that you're rolling out and let them know how to get a hold of you and that you're allowing some beta tests.
Well, yeah, and I'm giving away. I'm giving away free trials of this software. I created a software. It's called SnapWorks. And basically what I did is allowed you to have an event and everyone at the event can become your event photographer. So you're all able to take pictures and share them in one gallery in the cloud. So instead of you getting 5-10 pictures, now you get 2,000 pictures. If everybody comes there, they scan the QR code that you have on the tables or you have at the door or whatever, they now have access to upload and share their pictures along with the other 100 guests there.
And Doc, the reason why I know you're on the ball with this, and I'm going to go ahead and give you some of what I gave you already. Just imagine, let's say people, and I know folk won't utilize this for their weddings. Well, they would utilize it for their weddings.
Well, yeah, it's for all of it.
Yeah, because they could capture shots that they wouldn't otherwise get. But my point is this: you pay a wedding photographer $500 or $1,000 when you actually use your scan, and everybody at that wedding becomes a photographer. You get snapshots of pictures that you would have never otherwise had.
Yeah, you get great grandma, who the photographer didn't think about taking a picture of her. She's 98 and you got several pictures of her in candid, not staged. The wedding party pictures, that's nice. But the real thing is the human moments. And that's what SnapWorks is designed to capture those moments.
And think about the Florida Classic.
And that's the motto of it. Never miss the moments.
Never miss the moment. Think about the Florida Classic and
exactly.
And everybody's moving not only from the stadium, but also the
tailgate parties, the vendors, everywhere, all the time.
And you're sitting out there as a tailgater, and you're getting pictures from the suites upstairs because somebody scanned that QR code.
Right, and it opens right up. You don't have to download anything. All you do is scan that code or click that link, and you in.
Hey Doc, go ahead and let people. I mean, I want to support you. Go ahead and let people know what that first tier is, because I saw the range from $29 to $49.
The first tier of the product is $29, and you get access to upload. And I made it simple. It's unlimited video and unlimited pictures you can upload on both tiers. Now the difference is that gallery only stays online for 14 days. Okay. The true cost of this app is in that storage. You know that back end storage can kill you. So I made it where for 14 days, you got 14 days to download all your pictures. And I made it convenient. In the premium, which is $49, it's a one-click download. You go in there, you click download all, and all of them get downloaded. Plain and simple. Okay. Then another feature of it is that you can share it on social media right from the app, and you can play it at an event as a slideshow. It's a built-in slideshow. You go into slideshow mode, it starts showing it. So you hook your phone up or your projector up, your laptop, and guess what? Now you got the slideshow of everybody's pictures in real time. Now these pictures show up in real time.
Think about family reunions, and I hate to go off script, but I want to support you. Think about family reunions. And you got Big Mama and everybody else, everybody moving and grooving. and you can't be everywhere at once. But everybody there is using your app.
Exactly. I got so many photos. What think about the lost photos, Rod, from our childhood and past, because all we had was a Kodak pocket camera, okay, or what was the thing, the instant camera thing,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
remember you take the picture and you shake the you shake the
You
picture.
taking me back. You taking me back.
And how many of those, man? I got some of those, but most of those have been lost. You know what I'm saying? Or they faded. This now gives your photo collection instant, so all your family can have all the same photos. So everybody got a picture of great grandma or Aunt Edna or Uncle Larry, and that's what it's built for. This is a time where we
I'm proud to know. I'm proud to know the
away.
next mega billionaire, because that's gonna, Doc. That's a great innovation. That's a great idea, man.
Well, thank you. But
hey, Doc,
listen, iron sharpen iron, and you kind of woke this up in me, Rod. I ain't gonna lie. Working with you on CPAS and the community care app, man, that was like, okay, that kind of stuff is up my alley anyway. And anybody that has not experienced CPAS, let me tell y'all, it's a game changer. And Rod will tell y'all, I'm fussing at him all the time, but
they can use it. But Doc, I will say this: I've had the conversation, man, with B12, who will have a tailgate at the Florida Classic. People have been signing up to be in that tailgate area. They're looking forward to using the app, because while they're at the tailgate, they're going to have folk that's up in the suites, down on the field, in the stands, and they're going to be using your app to get a bird's eye view from everywhere while the classic is going on.
And matter of fact, right now, I'm going to do this. I hope you don't mind. If anybody that's listening and want this copy of this app, put your email over in the chat, and I'll send you a free trial of it. All you got to do is
better than that.
All you got to do is get in there and fill out the form, and it'll instantly email to you. Instantly email to your email. You get your QR code.
Who say you don't get great deals on Let's Talk Nation, man? You get all kind of deals.
You get. Hey, we always innovating. Hey, what's up, Sister Cheryl Walker? What's going on? Cheryl.
Hey, man, you talk about Miss Cheryl. I know she's gonna be somewhere in the Florida Classic, so make sure she get a free application, Doc.
Yeah, she always out there bringing sexy back. I have to tease her.
Hey, she's an ambassador. She's a cigar ambassador, by the way.
Oh yeah, she is, and a great person. I just love that sister. She is so regal and elegant. I've always been enamored with I don't mean this in an offensive way, but with chocolate women, dark-skinned women. And it came from me when I was a boy. I just remember Black women walking around with dashikis on and afros and them boots and the mini skirts, and I fell in love with that image of Black women, and I that's always been my thing,
So you don't disclose you like chocolate, huh?
Oh yeah, I love dark-skinned women. So
you got Cheryl here going like this right now.
She know I done told her. I don't mean she know. I love her as a sister, not in a other way. Yeah. I'm just saying that for the listeners, because some people in our community don't believe that men and women can actually be platonic friends without no motives. And see, I don't have a problem with that. I'm friends with her and Teslin, and I tell people, I'm not bragging. I've been around beautiful women my whole life. So being around and near beautiful women is not some dudes, they don't know how to behave. I'm
Well,
I'm
we
just
know you
making
know
that
how to
point.
behave, Doc. Hey, Doc, here's where I want to push the envelope, man. This is the conversation you and I had. And again, this goes back to, man, that Survivor's Remorse series, man. It had a lot of wise nuggets in it. And one of the
Yeah, it
ones,
does.
but one of the
It,
ones that I captured, man, that I've massaged it so that I can use it. And Doc, this is the conversation you and I had. And for those of you who are watching the show, we welcome you to call in and give us your nuggets as well. But one of the things, Doc, you and I talked about that came out of this show, and this is the episode where the NBA player went to prison to see his dad because he was conflicted with the fact that everything in his life was going right. Personally, he felt good, but he also felt there was something that he was missing. And what he said to his dad, he was missing something. He just couldn't put his arms around it. And his dad said to him this: in this world, you got big bad. And now grasp this, Doc, big bad. And when you're talking about big bad can mean anything that you want it to mean. You can talk about big bad is poverty. You can talk about big bad is gun violence. Big bad is child trafficking. Big bad are all these things that we don't want to see. But he also said, in comparison to the big bad, there's that small good that people do. But he said to his son, to compete with the big bad, and you're doing small good, you got to dig deep in yourself to pull out that greater good to even begin to combat big bad. So, Doc, with that analogy, man, what's your thought process with that? Because he's right, we got big bad, and we're not going to discount the small good that takes place. But boy, you got to dig deep when you want to get that greater good.
you know, I and things when it comes to morality and judgment, you know where I like to go. I like to go to the ultimate book, the Bible, and in Jeremiah 17:9 and Romans, it talks about the condition of the heart, and I think the big bad and the little good are conditions of the heart, Rod. You know, we have those things, and we can see the bad. Uh, we know it's wrong, but we think that just doing a little good will counteract that. When in fact the bad intends on being bad. It's not misunderstood or mistake or unintentional. But yet and still, how many of us shrink away from holding accountability for the big bad?
Yeah, yeah.
We don't we would rather go do our little good than to stop the big bad. Why is that?
Doc, why is that? Is that because it's easier to do the little good versus digging deep to do that great? I mean, what do you think that is?
Um, the number one motivation to me is fear of that fear of being ostracized, that fear of uh, being victimized, that fear of failing will hold us back from doing the right thing.
Fear of failure.
I don't want to get Look how often people stand there and witness a crime, and they turn the other way. Matter of fact, this is an excellent illustration. I read in online this story. The lady says she came out she says, I lost all respect for my boyfriend, and he was completely emasculated in front of me. She said they walked out of a club, and this young lady was standing outside on the corner down from them. Her and her boyfriend was standing there, and this drunk guy comes out and starts accosting the lady and, being profane and everything. And she said she felt very uncomfortable, so she went over and stood with the young lady. Her boyfriend stayed there looking at his phone and stuff. And the guy got persistent. She kept trying to, tell the guy, go on, leave her alone, leave us alone. And she said her boyfriend just stood there and let this guy do all this stuff. and the guy actually reached and tried to grab the other young lady, and she shoved him off him. Now they're standing there arguing. Boyfriend ain't moved over there yet to protect her. And he told her, well, you don't get involved because you don't know what people are capable of. And so she said, they started arguing there, and the young lady's Uber pulled up. And the drunk guy decides, well, I'll just get in the Uber with her. So now the lady who intervened, she's fighting with this guy and trying to protect the lady, and he's shoving and pushing her. Her boyfriend still didn't get involved.
Man, Doc, I think, man, it comes from that place where, we had these conversations about, that integrity piece is not what you do when everybody's watching. It's when nobody's watching.
Exactly.
And I don't know, man, it's something that you teach. Quite frankly, man, I'm going to say, you teach this kind of stuff. It's not something that I don't believe you just leave it for somebody to absorb it through osmosis. No.
But a good portion of what we're learning and teaching in society, Rod, is that my choice of life and life choices should be borne under the weight of other people as well. Okay. And what I mean by that is that I can make a decision. Like, for instance, if I go out and I decide I'm living in my parents' house, going to school, I go out and I decide to get a child, right? Now I need to quit school, get a job, but I'm staying there with my parents. I think that they should help me with this child in this situation. See, we're teaching that. We're teaching people that it's okay to make me responsible or co-opt me into your choices for your life.
But Doc, I think that part is making. I mean, because I know real life scenario where that's enabling.
Yeah, but that's what the young man in survivor's remorse. That's what he's talking about. You know what survivor's remorse is? A psychological term, right?
Well, it's psychological term, but as it relates to this show and everything, this young man made it out of the ghetto, and he wanted to help everybody.
But that's what it is. Survivor's remorse is a condition in which you become burdened with this idea that you somehow left people behind because you overcame circumstances and they're still in those circumstances.
Yeah.
And you have an obligation or some type of duty to rescue them or help them. I can't agree with that because everything, your lived experience is a result of what? Choices. We all make choices every day. People love to say, you judging me. No, I'm looking at your choices. I'm not judging you.
But the other side of that is, and this is what I firmly believe, the other side of it is, I think you enable people if you're just giving them a fish. People have taken it to a whole nother level because we used to say, you teach a man how to fish so that he can feed himself and his family versus depending on you to give a fish. Now the mentality is, hey, look, what you do now is you go ahead and show a person how to buy that lake. So now they're not only fishing to feed themselves, but they have a lake stocked so that they can feed their generations to come.
But listen, the whole thing is, I use this analogy. I can come by, Rod, and your house on fire, right? You're on the second story. And you up there screaming, help, 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 help. I say, okay, this is my friend. I'm going to run up there, and I'm going to get him out and get him safe. I run in there, past the flame, I grab Rod, I get you down on the ground. You jump up when you get down there, you take a sip of water, say, oh, Lord, I left my money in there. I left my dog in there, and you run back in the house. And then you get back in there and you say, help, help, help. Now, am I obligated to go put myself in danger again?
Not at all. Not at all. But see, you know what? That's a good analogy. But the one I got that I think
people think you should. Listen, I got you safe You made a conscious choice to run back in there.
Doc, there's a
Okay?
reason why when you're flying on a plane and you're accompanying somebody, there's a reason why they say to you, put your
Put
headset
your
on
mask
first.
on.
Yeah,
Put your mask
because
on first.
if you pass out from the cabin
Decompression.
decompressurizing, and then you pass out, but you could have helped the person by you helping yourself first, then it all ends there.
But some people, Rod, many people believe that you are obligated to help them, often to the detriment of yourself.
And then
Many
let's
people
open this
believe
up.
that.
Let's open this up. Those of you who are watching Let's Talk Nation, and you got some nuggets you want to throw out, hey, call on in. We look forward to hearing your views and opinions. That phone number is area code 407-921-6195. Once again, 407-921-6195. Doc, when we talk about the big bad, and I'm just giving you a critique from that show, the systemic pressures were the real antagonists of that show. The show frames racism, media scrutiny, and how the industry exploits those athletes. But then when you look at the segment that dealt with the business, the agent, the team machinery, you looked at the owners, you looked at the deals, you looked at opportunistic handlers such as Jimmy Flaherty that played the owner in that show, and to show how the sports machine is more, how it corners players, and it's more concerned about, and it's a business like anything else. It's more concerned about its margins than it is the products that it puts out on the floor.
Rod, one of the most poisonous things in your life is what? What can be one of the most poisonous things in your life?
I don't know. You tell me, Doc.
What you believe. If you believe you're helpless, you're helpless. Okay? That's the phenomena of learned helplessness. See, we often get in these circumstances and situations where we believe a certain thing. You gave an excellent illustration about Shaq going back and educating himself about business rather than allowing somebody else to control his career, because most people believe that, hey, he's been an agent for years, he knows all this stuff. Now, if he learned it, why can't you learn it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But we teach that learned helplessness, like, this is beyond me. I don't understand it. You don't understand it because you haven't given yourself the opportunity to understand it. You would rather hand it off. It's just like I give you a classic illustration. Church people will go to the pastor and say, "Pastor, pray for me. I'm going through such at my job. I don't know what I'm going to do." Now, a wise, astute pastor is going to say, "Well, have you prayed?" And they go, "Well, you know God personally, and you talk to him more than me." No, that's not what God wants. No, Ron, I'm telling you, it's people that believe that.
Hey,
They believe that the
I don't
power.
disagree. I don't disagree. I'm chuckling, Doc, because I often tell people who say, I've been praying, but after they continue to say that, my response to them is, after you finish praying, are you getting off of your knees and going to put in the work? Yeah,
exactly. But see, they that's microwave Jesus. They love microwave Jesus.
Hey, quick and fast and in a hurry.
Yep. Hit a button, boom, pop out. Jesus gave it to me. But that's not the essence of faith. The essence of faith is to teach you how to overcome, trust in God, and believe beyond what you know, understand, and experience. See, the faith is about tomorrow. Faith ain't about today. It's about keeping you grounded in tomorrow. When you face that challenge, how do you move? Do you maintain your morality?
Okay, so Doc, Let's Talk Nation is about community. It's about business. We also educate about politics. With all of that being said, Doc, and just the context of the conversation that we're talking about now, where we're talking about the big bad and the small good, just today, there was breaking news that the faith community, and I like to say, I know it's not confined to Tallahassee, but one of the pastors that we're very familiar with, because we've read his name in the headlines across the state before, is Pastor R.B. Holmes out of Tallahassee. The faith community, and I mean, I don't have any issue with them putting together a coalition because now they want to hear from the politicians running for governor. What are they going to do, or what are their proposals that's going to impact the population that those faith communities are directly impacting? I like what I read today with the fact that they're putting together a coalition. The only issue that I have is that coalition going to be open-minded? And I repeat that again. Is that coalition going to be open-minded and not so much focused on party affiliation as they are what those individuals are talking about bringing to the table to help their constituents, or not so much help, provide the tools for them to help themselves?
There are two types of people: pretenders and contenders. Pretenders are going to come and tell you what ought to get done. Contenders are going to show up with a plan of execution and be able to measure and expected results. They're going to know this is what we do, this is what we're going to get. Pretenders are going to say, here's what we hope. And if you throw enough money at it, we might get close to it. See, when I met you, I could tell you were a contender. Why? Because you had executable plans in place. You had an understanding of your effort was going to produce results. You could measure them, and you could what? Duplicate them.
You can scale.
See, that's what successful people understand. They put together a plan of execution, and they can consistently execute that over and over and over again. That's how you create that momentum and build on success, because you constantly are executing the plan. You know that it's same principle with football, same principle with basketball. You execute, point of execution, constantly. But when I see many of the entities in our community, they come with the complaints, but they have no plans. They want you to solve the problem that they've been dealing with for 20 years. If you haven't solved the problem in 20 years, why are you trying to get me to solve it in 1 year?
And that's the one thing we got to work on, Doc. We got to work on, folk. Yeah, identify what those problems are. And even if you don't have the solutions by yourself, here's something that I've said, Doc, with you in the room and other players that we bring to the table when we're trying to figure out how do we come up with solutions. And I say it all the time. Not one of us in the room is smarter than all of us put together. And that's why we come together, to have that synergy, to come up with solutions, to problem solve. And I mean, you hit it right on the head. But Doc, where do we go from here when you look at, and I'm going to say this, when you ask a individual, what is your priorities? And they tell you what their priorities are. The next thing I ask them is, tell you what, you told me these are your priorities. Just like this coalition, I'd be real interested in knowing what the coalition priorities are. But just like anything else, whether it's a local municipality, whether it's our individual elected officials, don't tell me what you value and what your priorities are. Show me your budget, and then I'll tell you what you value based on me looking at the budget. Because you spend your money where you believe your priorities are, but don't get out here and tell people what your priorities are and they don't match up with your budget.
One of the most powerful lessons I learned in the military is don't make a complaint without a plan.
Without a plan.
If you got a complaint about something, have a way to solve it. Say, this is the problem, here's the solution. Because otherwise, you're average. You're the average person.
So now, let me ask you this question. Is it more popular to be the person raising your voice about what you don't like, but you don't come up with any solutions? Is that more popular with citing what the issue is and coming to the table with a solution? Do you get as many raised for that? I'm just wondering.
Hey, that made me think about the Apocalypse. You know, Apocalypse, they run around, they bite everybody, they pee on your leg and all that, and act the fool to show up, and they complain about everything, the food bad, this and that, and that, and that. But not one time have you seen the rats show up with a plan. They've never shown up with anything that they have executed that has allowed them to show that they are leaders. Loud ain't leading. Being loud ain't leading.
But how do we move past point A to just even getting to B? Most people say A to Z, but how do we get to B with coming to the table with plans and solutions that are realistic?
Well, we got to get past. We got to teach people execution. We have to teach that identifying the problem is not even the first step. Okay? Coming up and having an executable plan is the first step. We know it's a problem. You understand? We don't know how to triage. And what I mean by triage, what critical things happen in our community that are most important that we solve first? See, that's triage. Recognizing what is impacting the quality of life or the continuity of life in our community to such a degree that it is impacting us, our ability to do anything else. We fix that first. Okay? If it's a lack of transportation, then we fix that first. Now we got people who are able to get to work. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we now have 80% employment in our communities versus 50%. You see what I'm saying? So now we got more people. Now we got more money being spent than turned over in the community that stays longer. Okay, we're able to beautify our communities. We're able to engage one another and help.
I want to hear. I want to hear the real solutions as it relates to, and you, myself, Attorney Greg Jackson. We've been talking about this for years. We're past that point of AI and automation and robots. Look at how many jobs are being lost to AI and automation. Amazon, you got these companies that are laying people off in the thousands now. So the question is going to be, with all of these layoffs, what is the next step to keep people engaged, relearning new industry so that they can compete in today's marketplace? Because at the rate of these layoffs, Doc, government is going to have to find another way to compensate itself.
Well, interestingly enough, Elon Musk has a plan. I don't know if you caught that over the weekend, where he talks about the fact that we're going to move to a universal income model. Now, what's the problem with that? It's a big hole in that already.
So what is it?
Okay, this is the hole. You know this. You're a capitalist. As soon as you give people that universal income, what's going to happen?
They're going to start spending it for what?
Prices are going to go up. Prices, giving income is the worst thing you can do because it's artificial. Okay, if I know you now have $5,000 a month, I don't feel bad about charging you $4,000 for rent. I don't feel bad about you getting paying me $100 for a steak. You see what I'm saying? So the market is going to respond to that in that way. But why? We see it now.
But when you say the market responded in that way, Doc, I also believe in an open marketplace. I mean, if the market is going to respond to that, and you see certain governmental entities that try to regulate, like they try to regulate property owners' rights.
We don't have true open market, and the hybrid that we run is so terrible, it's laughable. You know that. You know we don't have a true open market, and why? Because government regulates.
I remember a time when government used to talk about slowing the growth of government, looking at privatization and what it could do to utilize so that taxpayers wasn't carrying the brunt of it. You don't hear those kind of conversations anymore.
You know the last time we had a true open market,
When was
it
that?
was before 1980. It was feast or famine. You know what feast or famine is? You swim or you sink.
Yeah.
Government didn't come. I cannot remember government before then coming in, Rod, and segmenting and protecting certain players in the marketplace. You either what they say, you eat what you kill.
Yeah.
And now you got sweetheart backdoor deals where the regulation will push your competitors out the way, giving you an advantage that they don't. You're not competing. You're not competing.
You know, you're hitting on something, Doc, and I know we winding down, but over this weekend, and I don't know if you saw it or not, what the EDC festival, at Campbell World Stadium, and then that place was swamped. I mean, I think they may have set new records, generating millions of dollars. And you know what? I don't begrudge the private sector for taking on the risk, because what a lot of people don't realize, when you're in that market, people talk about you're making all of this money here and there, but you're also inheriting those same risks. But here's what I would say, and you remember this because we talked about it months ago, when the EDC gave those community neighborhoods $60,000 to split up as a result of EDC having a festival last year. Well, multi-million dollars that it makes, but it gave $60,000 to be split up by 7 or 8 neighborhoods, which the amount of money each neighborhood got varied. Some got 3,000, some got 4,000. Doc, I think those are the issues that true leadership is needed on, because $60,000 from an event that impacts those neighborhoods dramatically, but everybody's fighting over $3,000 and $4,000 when they should have been fighting to get $1 million split up in those neighborhoods.
Well, again, it goes back to, and that's District 5.
Man, but
I'm a latest turd in the yard.
We doing big
because I get that. But Rod, it goes back to effective leadership. Okay, if you don't have a leader that knows how to lead and what to ask for, you will get crumbs.
Well, you know, I will say this. I will say this. I mean, and we're talking about. Yeah, we're talking about the city, but that seat only has one vote. I think you have to have the compulsion so that everybody understands.
You're talking about a vote, but there's other ways of getting things done.
You're right, but the big picture, Doc, is they getting $60,000 from an event that dramatically impacts those neighborhoods, when the conversation should be about how much more money they really should be drawing down. And I mean, Doc, I hate to say it and use this terminology, but they're fighting each other for a couple of dollars.
And that's where we come together as a coalition. We go to those folks and say, hey, look, that's not going to cut it. We're stuck with the aftermath of this event every year. How about you step up and you continuously fund initiatives in our community the whole year that's going to not only benefit us, but benefit you when you show up here next year. So we have nicer amenities. We've got more things in place that will enhance your event as well as our community. See, you got to paint a picture for them. But if you don't know how to paint, if all you can do is finger paint and put boogers on the paper, I'm gonna treat you like that.
Not the thinking, and I don't disagree. The thinking needs to be expansive. The thinking needs to be, okay, those community neighborhoods, yeah, we're going to provide funding that's going to impact the beautification and how much wear and tear we put on those communities during the festival. But I think there also needs to be another pot of money, Doc, that also impact those small businesses in that vicinity too, that are impacted by that EDC. I mean, I'm gonna give you this last example. The Apopka Amphitheater, the concert, the music festival that's put on every year by the Heart and Soul Music Festival. Man, Why isn't Apopka getting any of the TDT
how
funding
powerful
to put on that festival that draws almost
how
5,000
powerful
people?
would it be, Rod, if these same neighborhood boards, and I know people on those boards over there, they went there and said, okay, African American community, we have a vast history of art performance. Let's talk to EDC about creating an amphitheater area, and they help sponsor that amphitheater year round, where we can bring in African American and not just African American, but smaller crowds. We could do country music, okay? We could do jazz. We could do black box theater in that amphitheater, and they now have a community tie year round. It's not going to cost them that much, and that will be a revenue generator.
And you're absolutely,
but you gotta have vision and be forward thinking to think that way.
You're absolutely correct, and Doc, you always do it to me, and I let you do it. But you're on the money. But I think the vision, the leadership, all of that stuff has to come together. For those of you who tuned in to Let's Talk Nation, we appreciate you joining us. We look forward to you joining us next week when we have the Alphas in the studio, and the Alphas in conjunction with the General, who happens to be an Alpha as well. We're going to be having a conversation about information that you need to know regarding voting, regarding how do you research your candidates and things of that nature. Join us next week on Let's Talk Nation. We look forward to having you.
And let me give a shout out to my app one more time. It's Snapworks. That's SNAPWORXX.com. Snapworks.
Hey, and Doc is offered for those of you who contact and put your information or even send your information to Let's Talk Nation's Facebook page to let you go ahead and beta test.
I'll give you a free trial.
Hey, we'll see y'all next week on Let's Talk Nation. We appreciate having you. Doc, I'll see you later, brother.
All right.